Hi, this is Chris. Today I'm going to show you how to set up and access a simple database. This can be used to access a backend database or to store data that is not available in the backend system. If the data in the backend systems change very seldom and needs to be aggregated, then a database could be a very efficient way to use as a cache for an omnichannel service. In this example, I will use a MySQL database that was installed when you set up your cloud server, as I showed in one of my previous videos, and you got the link there below in the description. And a similar approach can be used to access any of the major databases like Postgres, Oracle, SQL Server, or DB2. There are a number of commands you need to enter to make the database accessible to PHP in the terminal, or if you're using Windows in PuTTY or something. And you can find all of those in the description there. And also you can find the instructions how to make the database accessible remotely. And that's actually a very good thing if you want to manipulate the database from a client tool like PuTTY or something. But what I will show you here is a very basic approach using the terminal or PuTTY in Windows to set up the database. So the first thing that you need to do is to log into your server, and then you enter the MySQL, and here I'm using the root user. And the first thing that you want to do is to change to the default, the sample database that was installed with MySQL, which is called test. And then we want to create a table called person, and it has two columns. The first one is called ID, and it's of type integer, and the second one is called name, and it's a variable character field with a maximum of 30 characters. And then I want to insert a number of rows here, so I just enter some sample data. Let's use me, and then I'll just use let's see, like that, my wife's name. And so just to see that everything was working, we can see that I entered some fields there in the database. And with the table in place, let's create a service that can access the table and return its content. And as you can see here, this is a PHP script that does that. And first we connect to the database on line 2, and we select the database on line 3, which is called test. And then we query the database on line 4, and for each found row on line 6, the columns in the table are inserted into an entity called person on line 8 to 10, and that entity is added to an array on line 11, and we created the array there on line 5. And then we just add a root object on line 14 and some headers on 15 and 16. And then we return the response in JSON format on line 17. So to put this code on your server, I will be using the PuTTY tool. And what we do here is that we create a new file, which we'll call get from database.php. And then we insert the code that we just went through into that file, and we save it. And when it's saved on the server, we can open a browser and we can see that the result is the contents of the table returned as JSON. Okay, so there you have it. An omnichannel service that accesses a database and that can be used by any web or app. Thank you.